Hey guys, that Moarte douchebag wants me to remind you to check out the Long Box of the Damned bumper contest. So that's what I'm doing. Unless you're watching this after the contest is over, in which case, well, check it out anyway. It's revenue for me. Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. You know, I wish I could still use that A-Team parody intro I made years ago for the first A-Team comic, but of course, content ID issues prevent that. I miss Blip. What I'm also gonna miss are the A-Team comics. Yes, it seems Marvel only produced 3 of them in 1984. As a reminder, Marvel had 6, possibly 7 issues, Trouble had 5, and Ultimate Power got 9 issues, despite only having like 3 or 4 issues worth of story. And the friggin' A-Team got only 3. While it is not the best comic in the world, it's still always fun to see Hannibal, Faceman, Murdoch, and of course B.A. Baracus kicking ass, taking names, and helping the helpless. And while it's sad that this is the last A-Team comic we'll be covering, rest assured there are still plenty more comics featuring Mr. T out there. So the spirit of awesomeness that is first name Mr., middle name that period, last name T will endure. No real need to recap the last one since the stories are standalone, but more or less, 2 rich brothers wanted the A-Team to rescue their father, who had been abducted by ninjas belonging to the Sons of the Desert cult. Said cult is basically made up of a bunch of stereotypical Japanese cultural stuff like samurai and computers and sumo wrestlers, and it turns out that it's not really a cult, but a retreat invented by the kidnapped father, who arranged the whole thing to get away from his sons. B.A. fought and defeated a sumo wrestler, and that's really the most important thing of note. So let's dig into the A-Team, number 3, and see what wacky escapades they'll get into now.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a pretty hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
I couldn't find my physical copy of this one, but we'll look at the cover regardless. But I should note that the scans of this one actually come from the Marvel Illustrated Storybook reprint of it, which collected all 3 issues into one comic. They're virtually identical art-wise, but the scans of the storybook are in better quality. Anyway, the cover's pretty good, featuring the A-Team parachuting out of a falling plane, B.A. obviously unconscious. Good thing B.A. is still asleep. If he wakes up before we hit the ground, we're all in trouble. Not because he's afraid of flying, he's just been desperate to recreate the skydiving scene from the movie Megaforce, and Hannibal would have to be Persis Kambata. TV's blockbuster adventure show is now a Marvel comic, and after this issue, it will formerly be a Marvel comic. Flight of the Red Bird. And Crash of the Red Bird right next to it. We open in the middle of the desert, where B.A. is explaining to Hannibal how he once caught a fish this big. I should also note that this was written by Alan Kupperberg, brother of Paul Kupperberg, who wrote a couple of Tandy Computer WizKids comics. Truly, the WizKids and the A-Team are the greatest legacy of this family. Well, B.A., we followed the rendezvous instructions that Amy Amanda Allen passed on to us from our new mysterious employer. So what'd your fancy compass tell us, Hannibal? We in the right place or not? Well, according to the compass, we've arrived at Thursday, 4 o'clock. The sun is hot enough to dry your brains, and those two are arguing. The sun is so hot, it turned my hair green. I'm a nut for Nevada, face. Say, if we ever wanted to stop being chased by the government, we could just go and invade and take over Molossia. A few minutes later, a helicopter arrives. They recognize the pilot, a former Western movie star named Wild Jack Monroe. "Afternoon, I reckon you rannies have seen some of my movies. I just called you poor quality calves or mongrels, and I want to hire you. I'm so gosh darn smart." He offers them a ride in the helicopter to his place, but of course BA refuses to fly.
"I ain't flying with no cowboy. Now maybe if he was some kind of medieval knight, that'd be different."
They decide to head back in the Land Rover they used to come out there, and that's probably a smart move anyway. Since they didn't know who they were meeting, it could have turned out to be a trap, so best to stay with the vehicle they're familiar with. They arrive at his compound a short time later and are greeted by Jack's daughter, Lynn, who he wasn't expecting. Apparently she's been away at college, but she wanted to visit. Both Lynn and Face spot each other and are immediately taken with one another. "I have to see these boys for a bit, child. I'll come by for you in a while." "That'll be fine, Daddy." Face and this woman are gonna bang. He brings the A-team to a private theater in the place. "Let's watch Airport. Where's the popcorn?" Just read the book, Face. After all, the trailer really wanted you to.
Outselling any novel of recent years, translated into 14 languages, Arthur Haley's Airport.
No, Jack is there to show off the Redbird, a new secret spy plane. It's not said, but the implication from the dialogue is that this is a Soviet spy plane, radar-proof and super fast. Jack says he's pissed that the American government doesn't seem at all interested in doing anything about it, so he wants the A-team to liberate the plane for him and rub it in the noses of the government. "Show 'em what can be done by a real American." Apparently Jack got confused and thought Mr. T was Hulk Hogan. The group decides to accept the job. No one questions how the hell some friggin' actor knows about a secret Soviet spy plane, nor does the comic ever question that. Said actor also knows where the plane is stored, and a few nights later, they're on their way to an island via boat. The group complains that this wouldn't be an issue if BA didn't have his fear of flying.
"I ain't scared of nothing."
Oh yes, BA, you are the height of calm under pressure and aren't afraid of anything.
We're in a plane!
Don't panic.
A plane!
Take it easy.
No
Relax,
plane!
relax,
A plane!
relax.
If people was supposed to fly, they'd be born with wings.
Which pretty much confirms the one thing we can't add to the Mr. T superpower count: flight. They start burying the raft to hide it as a patrol comes by, having been alerted to the presence of a boat nearby. "Still, if we were to capture intruders, it would mean a medal of gold. All you guys are gonna get is hot lead. Die, die, die! Die, die, die!" The two guards make a run for it, and run right into BA and the raft, which he uses to stop them. They bury the two along with the raft, and I guess steal their uniforms given future panels? "We've got this problem wrapped up. Lucky for us, they left their truck up on the coast road. I know that because shut up." I don't know, maybe they can spot the truck, but if the troops were this close, how did they not spot the A-team as they drove up? They drive the truck towards the military base. Like I said, they don't explicitly say that these are Soviets, but they're speaking English at first as we see Hannibal suddenly teleport in behind the two guards at the front gate. Am I gonna have to start a George Peppard superpower count? Hannibal is dressed up as a general and berates the guards, distracting them and allowing the truck with his compatriots to enter the base unquestioned. They let off BA near a back entrance to the main facility.
The door is locked. No problem for someone with my talents. I'm gonna sing a song about respecting mamas to this door, and it'll open right up.
Face, meanwhile, is getting ready to leave the truck for his part of the mission. "I get off around the corner, Murdoch." "Oh yeah, well I get off on old movies, Face." "Look, nobody wants to hear how either of you get off." Face enters the base dressed as another soldier, but soon encounters a woman speaking another language, presumably Russian, but the caption doesn't say. Since he doesn't speak it, he can't actually answer her when she asks who the hell he is. He points at his throat to imply he has a problem with it. "Oh, my poor, handsome, brave soldier, you must have been wounded defending the homeland? Our glorious homeland of Germ-Russia-stan." As she leads him on a tour of the operation, BA arrives at a computer room that has guards.
You fools may have expected trouble, but you didn't expect B.A. Baracus. Nobody expects the Spanish B.A. Baracus. Mainly because I ain't Spanish, fool. That's what makes it so unexpected. They've gone and fell asleep on me. Well, I'll try to do my job real quiet-like, so I don't wake 'em up.
I'm loving Mr. T's ASMR sessions. Hannibal and Murdoch meet up and locate the Redbird, which admittedly does look really cool. I don't know how flight-worthy something like this is, what with the giant fins in the back, but I think it's damn pretty. A sentiment that Murdoch agrees with. That's a heck of an aircraft, Murdoch. Do you think you can fly her? Fly her, Hannibal? Sure. If you'd ask nice, I'd marry her. Murdoch, what did I say about not telling us what gets you off? Face soon arrives, having completed his part of covering up some readouts, using the woman who was enamored with him. Well, at least she made a big shield. Ha! Fat jokes. That's funny, Hannibal. You want to know what else is funny? You're a wanted fugitive on the run from your own people, never allowed to settle down or clear your good name, and your actions at this place could be construed as an act of war regardless of your status with the US government. Hilarious! BA is finishing up his task of reworking stuff in a computer, including replacing a component. This is a weird remake of Real Genius.
This fool thing is trickier than I thought. Why didn't I listen to those fool Tandy computer whiz kids when they were trying to teach me how to handle this stuff?
With new programming installed, BA tries to figure out a way to escape undetected. And fortunately, Murdoch arrives with a large oil drum that he can slip into. Didn't you call for a cab, BA? Hop in, I'll treat you to a freebie. Might be unconventional, but it's still the best rideshare service out there.
Man, this is embarrassing, Murdoch. Imagine B.A. Baracus riding in an oil drum.
Quiet, BA, before you make a fool of yourself.
Come on, sucker, I ain't got time for your crazy rap.
The reprogramming sounded a preset alarm for the hangar building, bringing the majority of soldiers there. Hannibal then shoots out the door mechanism for the hangar, trapping said soldiers inside. In addition, the phone lines were tampered with, so those in the hangar can't call for help. When Hannibal announces they're gonna fly out in the Redbird, BA objects. Because the barrel prevents him from getting injected with a knockout serum, Hannibal just drops some sleeping gas capsules into it. Seems like a lot of situations on the A-Team could have been resolved if those things were part of their regular arsenal. They drag him into the plane, which looks like it's a one-seater, frankly, so I don't know where the hell the four of them are gonna sit. They take off and observe things going haywire in the control tower. Hey look, BA's reprogramming had the tower's control panels explode. They can't track us or chase us. BA Baracus invented the Star Trek exploding console. Once they arrive near Miami Beach, so I guess they were in Cuba, they jettison out of the plane with parachutes, setting the plane to auto-destruct, because I guess the Cuban Soviets installed one of those on it. And Murdoch laments the loss of the plane. What about Wild Jack Monroe? He wanted that plane for himself. And the answer soon comes as Amy meets up with them, showing off her headline in the paper. Cowboy star makes his own foreign policy. But it just turns out to be the Truman Doctrine, though with more six-shooters. That cowboy is going to be pretty angry that we've exposed his little scheme. His little scheme? He was going to steal an enemy airplane to just go neener at the government. How did you even get the evidence to expose this? Though we blew our fee, I'd rather embarrass Wild Jack Monroe than the US government. Yeah, it's a good thing the US government hasn't done anything to embarrass itself. That'd be unheard of. What's more, we also see that this has led to some of the Soviet troops getting executed. This is played for laughs because them dirty commies. And so our comic ends with BA awakening and naturally being pissed at the others.
I pity the fool that shoved me out of that plane on a parachute.
And thus the Marvel A-Team comics came to an end because BA murdered them in this continuity for what happened. This comic sucks. What exactly was so nefarious about Jack's plan is unclear, beyond the act of war aspect, of course, but the idea that the A-Team doesn't want to embarrass the US government is kind of eye-roll worthy, given it's the US government that's hunting them! There's no payoff for Jack's daughter in Face. She basically is pointless filler to remind us that Face is hot, and that's it. The action is pretty lackluster, especially for the A-Team. The plan pretty much goes off without a hitch, so there's no real drama in anything, and they blow up a cool plane for no reason. Wouldn't it be better to leave it somewhere the army could find it, and thus they could reverse engineer its secrets instead of just blowing it up? If they really don't want to make the government feel bad, seems like helping them out would have been better. It's just a pretty dull ending for the A-Team comics, especially compared to the last two, which, while still bad, were at least goofy fun. This one's just pretty pedestrian. Next time, we return to Patreon-sponsored reviews, with more of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. No, we still haven't gotten to the stands yet.
I'm sitting on my couch reviewing comics. The worst birds that you will ever see. It's sad that comics
So you see, Spike was lucky this time, but a lot of kids ain't that lucky. Take it from me, Mr. T.
Hello, my friends. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell, and share it with others. And if you get a chance, maybe check out my Patreon.